Podcast, episode number 106.
This episode of the Self-Publishing Podcast is brought to you by 99 Designs, the online marketplace that helps you get outstanding book cover designs at an affordable price. Start your custom design today at 99designs.com/SPP and enjoy a free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99.
Welcome to the Self-Publishing Podcast, where if you want something done right, you gotta do it yourself. And now, here are your hosts, the three whitest guys at podcasting, Johnny, Sean, and Dave.
Hey everyone, and welcome to the Self-Publishing Podcast, the podcast that's all about how to get your words out into the world without contending with agents, publishers, or the other gatekeepers in traditional publishing. I'm Johnny B. Truant, and my co-hosts are Sean Platt and David Wright, here with the Self-Publishing Podcast. We'll see if anybody remembers today. I just mentioned it live once that we were going to be on at an unusual time today, so we'll see if anybody knows or if we are broadcasting in a vacuum today until it hits the feed. Not literally in a vacuum, although that would be interesting.
That would be fun. Yeah, that would be
broadcasting
cool.
within a vacuum. Today's topic is going to be about how to spend your creative energy, but sort of decide which projects to work on, when, and all that stuff. But before we do that, we wanted to do Fiction Unboxed update and just let people know where things stand and where they go, because this will be the last episode to air on iTunes, the website, for the audio feed before the funding period is over. So if you want to get in on Fiction Unboxed, now is your time. Selfpublishingpodcast.com/Fiction Unboxed.
And if you're sick of Fiction Unboxed and ready for us to move on, you just got a week left. That's it. We're done.
Right. We're almost to the point where well, I imagine we'll still talk about lessons and so forth, but it won't be as dominant.
Well, yeah, I think we'll be talking about the project itself. So Fiction Unboxed isn't going anywhere, but the actual Kickstarter. There is a segment of the audience that's very interested in the takeaways from this. There are others who don't care at all, so we'll try to keep maybe focused on one show and just get through it all. I think there are some definite takeaways here. I think we've learned more doing this Kickstarter than any other singular project, probably in my time online, actually, as far as everything kind of together. So there's a lot to broadcast to you guys, but I think we want to just kind of wait until all the dust settles and there's actually stuff we could talk about through a list.
I'd like to talk briefly about it, if that's okay, if we can keep it brief.
Yeah, as long as it's just let's get to the topic today. And right. I don't want to
like your optimism.
It's because it's fresh. It's because it's what's going on right now. The thunderclap went off just a little while ago, 2 hours ago now, and I guess we'll see, but I don't know that did dick. Maybe I'm crazy.
Well, there's two things here, dude. There's two things. Social conversion is terrible. It always is. Yeah. Even under the
why I'm not sociable.
It's terrible. You can't even hope for a percentage, right? And this was a mass broadcast. It all went out at once. The big hope here is that it trends, within a reasonably short period of time. There was enough hashtags in there to trend it.
Which I don't know how that works. It's not.
I don't either. And I also. The big hope is that there's conversation here, that people see, well, that's a curious headline. The funniest thing was, because they all hit at once, right? So it was and just whoa, they were just all there in a row. And somebody immediately tweeted after, hey, does anybody know where I can see two authors write a book live in 30 days and change the world of story forever? That was pretty funny. But it literally took everything over, but then it's gone. That was the thunder. So our hope is that enough people clicked over, found it curious, are looking into it. They'll, log on to Facebook later and go through their friends' posts and see this, and conversation will develop. Because we've already gone. You guys, those of you who are interested are already in. You're already there. You're already doing what you're going to do. So now it's really about getting an outside conversation, and that's what things like Thunderclap were, designed to do. So far, that hasn't happened. It's been 2 hours, and there's been very little conversion.
Adam Poe on Twitter said, not only did Thunderclap dominate my feed, but it also showed me who didn't sign up. For shame!
And that was the fun. And that was the fun thing was that
Traitors!
It dominated people who were already in it. Like that was a lot of. We had to mention that a whole bunch of times. We paid money for it. One of the things that I think may have worked, and again, I don't want to go too far down the rabbit hole, would maybe to use an existing hashtag that people already watch. So like one of the ones that's trending right now, we created our own, Fiction Unboxed. But
that's true, Johnny. We should have just done like indie publishing or self-publishing or something.
Am writing is one that's trending right now. And that way, the people who watch those hashtags, which are already trending, would have seen it. But even then, I'm thinking it may have looked spammy because, like, you're watching a hashtag and then here's 500 tweets, and then it stops.
That's a great idea.
What's that?
What? I can't tell if he's serious or not. Can you?
No, I was thinking the whole writing thing in NaNoWriMo. We should have did this thing like a month or two before then.
Oh yeah.
Well, no, but dude, we could have it packaged and ready to go in October and sell it as a NaNoWriMo prep or something like that. You guys are all ahead of the game, though. You'll kick NaNoWriMo's ass this year.
It's exhausting. It's normally when you do a product launch or something and it takes a few days. It's for me anyway. It's like emotionally difficult because you're constantly just unaware. You're checking things a lot. You're trying to figure out how can I get the most of this. And this is a month-long launch, and it's just emotionally draining. Like I just want it to be done. I love it in that there's the enthusiasm. I love it looking forward, but right now I hate it. I fucking hate it because it's just constant. I can't relax. And the other thing about Kickstarter, and again, I'll repeat again, I'm going to try to keep this brief, is we're discovering that people don't promote it the way that they promoted like Write, Publish, Repeat. And this is the case where Dave was right.
Woohoo!
Because
I love being right about horrible things, by the way. It makes me just feel even worse.
You know what? You should get like a hat that says I'm right, and just on the days when you're right, you just wear it with pride.
Turn it around.
Never doubt me.
We've been trying to use this like a marketplace, and we've been saying, okay, the metaphor is a concert, and you can get seats that are on the lawn or in the orchestra pit, depending on how much you want to contribute. And that's great for the people in the tribe, self-publishing people who wanted to get in and watch us write a book live. They get it. It's like, okay, well, we asked about process. They're giving us process, and we feel like we're stacking a ton of value. But the resistance we're getting to sharing it is that it looks like you're begging for money, and there's a real stigma associated with Kickstarter, and quite frankly, I feel like I'm begging for money, even though I'm not.
Right, and it's the press and the backing. So it's on both levels. And the problem with that is, like, our tribe, everyone did their job. They showed up, they funded it in the first hours. But we can't keep going back to that well. Like, we don't want to pitch the same thing over and over to the same people. It's about getting broadcast so that new people see it. And that hasn't happened. We're not getting in front of new eyeballs. We're in front of the same eyeballs. And Thunderclap's a good example. Like, it was all of our people who supported the Thunderclap are the ones who saw the clap happen. They all got the clap.
Yeah. But we gave all of our listeners
we gave our listeners the clap. But we're not getting those new eyeballs, and it's making me really tired because I'm somebody who I hate to ask people for stuff. I don't like it, and I feel like we're asking the same people for the same things, and it's old. That's all.
I'd like to give a heads up to Garrett Robinson that he can stop texting me the Kickstarter total update. Garrett, I got it. Thank you very much. Every time there's been an update, he sent me a new text. He sent us a new text. It's just exhausting. I can't wait until it's behind us. It feels less like selling something with good value at this point and more like begging because we get indifference too. We get a lot of people who just don't answer emails, or they'll say a fancier version of "I don't really want to share that," and they're very polite. But it basically is like something that you would normally be like, well, I'll just tell people, but they don't. And,
or what's in it for me?
Yeah, a lot of what's in it for me, and it makes me sad because this is a really, really cool thing. And some of the
What I love about it is there are these people out there that are seen as these paragons of virtue that do all these nice things for the writing community and share things. But the moment you ask them for anything, their true colors come out.
Yeah, it's true, and it makes me sad. But it's
so
okay.
I get it. It's a profit generator for us. I get it. And so it's hard to not feel like I see their point. I see their point at the same time as I think it sucks. Like we want to put on this show, we want to put it on for a packed house. The more that the thing funds, the more we have some really good rewards lined up. And by the way, I don't think we're at all near the end of our job. This isn't like, hey, it didn't work. I mean, it worked great. We're 200% funded. We got a lot more bullets left in the gun. Yeah. None of that. We're just tired, is all.
Yeah, it's tired. We don't want to sell. And there's been surprises, along the way. And I'll say this: I'm really, really proud of our community.
Fantastic.
Our community, I think, is amazing. Like you guys went above and beyond, and I expected a lot from our community, and you over-delivered even what I expected, and that's awesome. That's really, really awesome. I thought our community is so awesome. We're going to fund in 2 days, and we didn't. We funded in half a day, and I'm still blown away by that. But the community at large, the writing community at large, I think this is a little, and maybe I just think too highly of it, but I really do think this is
that was your first mistake.
Thinking highly of it?
Yeah.
This is a very original idea. I've never seen anything like this done before, and it's really cool, and I think it's going to be very helpful to the community at large. I think it's going to do really, really cool things, and even having said that, that was only our starting point. We have, all three of us, every single day for a couple of months now, have thought of ways to improve this. And we're constantly trying to improve it. And instead of it being, instead of look at how many ways they've made this better, it's like, wow, look how hard they're begging. And that sucks because we've
gotten some pushback that we're promoting too much. Comments, there's just too many sales pitches.
Right, but also people who are saying we're not promoting enough. Like people within the Kickstarter environment are saying we need more updates. And it's very hard. Like we're getting very conflicting advice from both sides of the aisles, both on rewards and the way we should do this. And there's a lot of cooks in the kitchen. There's a lot of
but it feels like almost unique to Kickstarter. Like if we had done we're going to do a thing, I think it would have been different. I think that there's a real stigma associated with Kickstarter. There's a lot of, I can't talk about that because then I need to talk about everybody's.
And everyone has a Kickstarter. Everyone, and
there are campaigns that really are glorified donations. Help me do this.
Yes, and this is not that at all. And I don't know how much you guys have seen of this because some of it comes through the SPP contact form, but a lot of it just comes through Kickstarter. But have you seen how many predators there are?
Yeah, a lot of those.
Not that Dave is surprised by this at all. But it's like, oh my God, your Kickstarter campaign is crazy. Like, I know how to blow it up for you. Oh, wait, before we go down there, this is the biggest takeaway for any author, any creative out there doing a Kickstarter. This is a really huge takeaway. The things that have cost us money, like out-of-pocket money, have been the things that have not generated any return. It's our relationship with you that has it's you guys being excited about this project and wanting to see it happen that has done everything. We paid for Facebook, nothing. We paid for press releases, nothing. And it's not like we skimped our way on either of those things.
Yeah, no, a lot for press releases.
Yeah, we've spent a lot of money on promotion, and none of that has worked. It's all just been you guys being enthusiastic about it.
Yeah, but for $697, there's like 500 people that have lined up that say they can get this in the hands of people who really talk.
Right. There's every day we get pitches on how we can spend money to blow up our Kickstarter, and it's very predatory. And I understand. I understand a lot more about the Kickstarter marketplace than I just never did before, and I'm glad I know. Like I'm glad I know. I'm glad we did.
Make me want to run another one right now, but we'll see.
Yeah. No, I don't at all. Because I would probably look.
Go ahead.
No, it doesn't matter. And I want to change topics.
Yeah, we'll move on. I'll just say this last thing. They do say that you need to drive, and we said this from the beginning. You need to drive your own traffic to a Kickstarter. You can't count on people just finding it. And what I'm finding is that that's a really, really extreme. What I mean by that is you kind of, like, I would almost say, assess the demand. So the people who wanted to see us write a book live, and then say, what will that fund? Will that fund it? And concentrate on that. It's not the promotion that we did for Write, Publish, Repeat to get people interested in it doesn't work as well for this, if at all. It's almost like you guys wanted it, we make it available to you, you guys picked it up, and then we should kind of just like, okay, that's 80-20 right there. We did the 80%, we stop.
Right, but in that paradigm, we could have just built this and sold the tickets live. Like our whole premise was, okay, you know what we should do is go to Kickstarter because it's a bigger platform and blah blah blah. Really, if we had taken the info market route, which is build the product, sell the product, we wouldn't have had to worry about all the other stuff, and we would have only had to do
that because of Dave.
Well, no, we didn't do that because we didn't know that the Kickstarter stigma was there.
We didn't know we were going to be this stigmatized.
Well, I think you hit on something. I think you hit on something important. I already figured, the stigma was there because, we've all felt it ourselves when people announce Kickstarter projects.
True.
We have helped out, some friends and stuff and bought their books. And I backed things like video games and such, but generally when I hear something about a Kickstarter, my first instinct is they're asking for money for, something that they should probably try and do on their own. And I think that is what a lot of people think. But the other part that you hit on, and that's something I didn't really think about, is consider all the people outside of our inner circle that we've asked for this favor to help promote. Think about all the times that they've had to turn down or ignore similar requests.
Right.
It is true. If they back us, then they got like 20 people that are in their circle that they didn't back that are suddenly going, well, why the hell are you backing these people, but you didn't back me? And they're ruining their own relationships. There really is a lot. There's political stuff to this that we didn't really consider.
Well, the thing is, it's the sweet, and I realize we're not doing a very good job of moving on here, but I hope this isn't sales pitchy, okay? Like, this is exploratory. Is the core idea is what I had hoped would catch fire faster than it did. Not the Kickstarter, not the idea of buying stuff or whatever, but the idea of we are going to write a book live and let everybody watch. I've never, ever, ever heard of anybody doing anything remotely like that. I'm going to write stuff in the morning. I'm going to post it live. You're going to see it raw before it's been edited. We're just going to open up our story meetings and record them. Like, I've never heard of anybody doing anything that
If
raw.
You're refreshing the page, you'll see the words before I do.
Right. And so, like, writers generally want to polish, get all my insecurities out of it, then the world can see it. And even then I'm still nervous, right, Dave? Even then I'm still nervous. Right. So, and that is it's the idea that I had hoped would take precedence. But that hasn't happened. What's happened is Kickstarter first, oh, hold on a second, I want to stop and see whether I even want to look at that idea. Rather than the other way around, here's this cool idea, oh, and yes, it's being funded through Kickstarter. And that's a little disappointing to me. I would hope that the idea would have been interesting enough and sort of exciting enough that people would share the idea without worrying about the Kickstarter thing. But anyway, whatever.
Yeah,
lesson learned.
I totally agree. I think that the good things about Fiction Unboxed so far are amazing, and they're going to be with us forever. We are doing something cool. We are the first to do it. We're documenting the process. That is all really... that is all really, really awesome. The things that are good about it aren't that surprising to me. They're kind of what I hoped for, and they're fully bloomed articulations of what we wanted this to be. But the things that I haven't enjoyed about the campaign are surprising to me. They're not really things that I even felt like I had to navigate around.
It's not like the hard work. Like, I don't mind the hard work.
Yeah, the hard work, it actually has been harder than I expected, but I'm okay with that. A lot of things are harder than I expect, but I like that. I learn from it. I get better. I get stronger. I don't care about that. But there are a few things that I found really irritating about this that I wish had been a little different, because I don't like it when Dave is right about humanity sucking. And
I don't like feeling like I'm begging. I mean, I always maintain that that solid marketing and sales is about exchanging a value. And by the way, like, we feel like we're over delivering on this. We just added some stuff to participation. We keep saying more. Give people more, and at the even then, I feel like I'm begging, and it sucks to like send emails to people and not get them back, or just to get that vibe like, okay, I'll do it, but I don't know, I got a bad taste in my mouth. Like, that sucks. I don't like that feeling.
No, it really sucks, and it really sucks to be resented. You know, people just see like the dollar amount climb and don't realize, you know, all the expenses to get it there, divided among 3 people, taxes, Amazon's cut, you know, because they handle the processing, Kickstarter's cut, and all the time that we're investing in doing this. Like, it's not raining money. Like, it's going to be gone very quickly. And we are giving something for that. It's not begging. It's not like, please parade us with money so that we can sit down and write the great American novel. Like, that's not what this is. And
it's the fault. It's a lot of fault. But I think that the fact that the Kickstarter is based around the dollar sign does not help. I mean, it's like that's the first thing you see. It's the biggest number on the page. How much is this funded? How much more did they get than they asked for? I mean, it's all around how much money there is, and that's the wrong signal, and I've thought of that. Like, you want to contact people, hey, help us overfund our Kickstarter. It's not about that. It's about playing to the big house. It's about reaching, you know, having the investment that we can then do other stuff. Like, people have asked us about this shared story world thing. They're like, you should just do it now. It's like, that's a lot of effort we have to put into creating all that stuff.
Yeah, right. Because then, and Dave said this from Dave didn't say this from day one. He said it from day 0 about the whole
day -10.
Yeah, you do a Kickstarter, and I think his exact quote, Dave, I hope this is okay, is you do a Kickstarter and motherfuckers are entitled. All right, and it's true. It's like all of a sudden, there's no, because it's just people don't have line of sight. They see the dollar amount, and it's
not the people backing it that feel entitled. It's the people that aren't even backing it.
Right.
The backers are fantastic. It's the people
our
that aren't
backers are
backing.
awesome. Yeah. Right. We have 600 and some amazing people who you know, they're I don't know. We
got some comments. Let me go to the comments
and we move on. All right.
Rachel Davis says David's been right a lot lately. Is this going to become the norm?
I hope so.
He's going to change his name to David Wright.
Eric Marshall says, this is the first time I've ever watched you guys live. Not that you care. We do care, Eric. Thank you.
Thank you, Eric.
John Dark, I love his friend.
Oh, he's jealous of your name already. He just supported Wood.
I think the issue here is that this Kickstarter is more geared toward writers who are generally quite neurotic and fucked up to begin with. Some, not all, of course.
That could be. That's actually a fantastic point.
And not readers, which is a much larger market to be sure, but wasn't your target demo. Still, I think that you guys are doing fucking awesome, and I can't wait to see how this turns out. Ignore the haters. MGon says, I know what you mean. This isn't even my Kickstarter, and yet just yesterday I was thinking, I can't wait for this to be done. I'm exhausted. It's always and I'm constantly trying to find ways to get the word out there, and I'm always checking the numbers and doing the math, and I think he broke down there at the end.
MGon's he's the fourth man. I'll tell you what, it's not on Kickstarter, but just in general, like this has really made me love our tribe. Like I love the self-publishing podcast tribe. Like it's cool, you know. You guys are really awesome. Even the people, like if you aren't backing it, it doesn't matter. You're still like, you know, we trust you guys. You're awesome. So whatever. I just wanted to say that you guys are cool. All right. So voicemails, yeah.
Oh yeah.
I have 2 voicemails. The first one is from Michael about mailing lists and another mystery segment here.
Hey guys, my name is Michael Laron. My question is about mailing list signups and subscribers. I was on the Realm and Sands website recently, and I noticed that you guys changed your offer from giving a free ebook to giving the Realm and Sands starter library, which I thought was a pretty cool idea. I was just curious if I could ask how it's impacted your signups and what kind of differences you've noticed since you've implemented this change. Thanks a lot. I love the podcast, and I'm a proud outlaw.
Thank you very much.
Go be a goner too, though, Michael. I want to toss that out there.
He's like, screw them!
Yeah.
Yeah, I really, really like our new offer. We still need to get it over on the Inkwell, and I haven't even finished the SPP site, but thank you for the compliment. I think it's a much improved offer. We haven't seen any slowdown whatsoever on signups. The real benefit to us here is that there's no heavy lifting on the end, because I think before it was a flawed offer because we're giving them a full book instead of a smaller baby step, because really an intelligently laid road is smaller steps. It's not like throwing them in. So the way it is now, they have 8 small books to choose from, and then it's a much more logical first step. But also, we don't have to fulfill it on the other end, which means I don't have to answer that email and attach the file, which those pile up, and then I get lost in that. And it's actually really good timing because Kickstarter has kind of taken that Kickstarter communication has taken the place of some of that. So I think it's a much better offer, but the real juice here we haven't even seen yet, because again, we've been working really hard to get the Kickstarter stuff done. But we have an autoresponder at Realm and Sands that we've started to work on. We're 4 emails deep into it. None of them have gone out, so if you're an outlaw, you haven't seen these yet. But essentially what they're going to do is lead a reader from that very first email to the first email leads you to a blog post that says, what kind of Realm and Sands reader are you? And we go through our lineup and write like a paragraph about each book and describe the kind of person who would like that book. So it's very warm and friendly and kind of brings you into our catalog. And then we just touch base with you. We give you free stories and shorts and stuff like that. So you're not lost with all these books to look at. But it's kind of a trail. Actually, our free book page, the starter library, is going to have a video. Another shout out to Garrett Robinson. And Johnny, you haven't even seen this video yet, but we actually have a Garrett Robinson produced video that's done and waiting to go up on that page. It just needs another voiceover.
Oh, cool.
But it basically says, welcome, don't get overwhelmed. It's just very friendly. And I think this offer works well, but I don't think it works as well as it needs to. And it'll work better once we really can take the reader by the hand and follow up with both an appropriate welcome and the right sequence of follow-ups after. But we got to finish the autoresponder.
The collective Inkwell welcome is, welcome to the jungle. You're gonna die.
The collective Inkwell takes the reader by the hand and pulls them into the bushes.
Bludgeon.
All right. So another question, another voicemail from Leslie. Although this says kudos on book. So this is either referring to snack bars or is going to give us compliments. So let's find out. I'm hoping for kudos because I'm kind of hungry.
I haven't had one of those since 5th grade.
Hey guys, This is Leslie. I thought that you would get a kick out of this. I was reading Write, Publish, Repeat while I was making lunch, and I sat down. I was really engrossed in it. I had taken the food off the stove, and I had finished eating it, and at that point, I was just reading, and I look up, and suddenly the whole kitchen is filled with smoke. And I'm like, that's odd. And I look around, and I realize I forgot to turn the stove off. And so the empty frying pan is just burning and filling the kitchen with smoke.
I bet that smells great.
So I thought maybe you could use it as a testimonial for Write, Publish, Repeat. The book is so good, it might burn your house down. Keep up the good work, guys. Thanks a lot. Bye.
I thought she was going to say that she'd accidentally laid the book, the paper book, on top of the stove or something like that.
Oh, that would be terrible.
So, all right. So no question to answer that. That wouldn't.
Try not to burn your house down.
Try not to burn your. That's the tagline for it.
I got it. We got an awesome email this week from a girl she's from the UK. She's visiting France. She's on vacation or holiday, and she had just discovered Yesterday's Gone. And on holiday, she burned through all 4 seasons, and she completely has missed her vacation. And I'm like, wow. And I was like, well, stop, enjoy France. And she sent me a picture. So. It was cool.
That was you gave advice on enjoying the world around you instead of.
Well, yeah, I don't travel, but if I did, I would want to enjoy where I am. I certainly wouldn't be reading, except at night, if I couldn't sleep. But generally, when I actually take the time to go out and explore the world, I try to enjoy it, and not the people so much, but the world.
You mean at Target?
I'm imagining you traveling by you have a mobile office.
How do you?
It's exactly like
travel?
that, and it's four walls with a desk and everything. It's totally enclosed. And then
I
you
would
just move
love
by,
that.
By like the back of a semi. They put the it's like one of those pods, those storage devices where you load it up and you close it, and they just move this whole thing for you.
I would like to live in one of those. Those are awesome.
Then you could travel.
Yes.
They could ship
I
you around.
would, if I didn't have a family, I would so like have an RV and just fucking drive all over the world.
You'd be the scary bearded guy in an RV. Oh
RV,
man.
great, man. Oh.
No, my children are never allowed near you. Oh, Uncle Dave wants an RV. Don't go near him.
No, but think how awesome it would be. You just, I want to go to the West Coast. Boom, I'm there. Want to go to Canada? Boom, I'm there.
Wow. All right. Stunning.
You know, boom is a lot faster in a plane, right?
I don't like flying.
I don't know that you can use the term RV and boom, I'm there.
And
It's more like a.
And I don't know that you understand the definition of traveling, really. Like,
I've driven across country.
Well, yes, in pursuit of a bounty, being a bounty hunter or something, Doesn't
Yes,
really
I used to track people down for a living.
All right.
All right.
So before we move into the topic, we should do pay the bills with our ad from our lovely sponsor, 99 Designs. What is your recent experience with? Or we could do another terrible parody like we did last time.
No, let's have an
Terrible parody. Terrible parody.
Have an actual. I guess it's not a parody, but.
No. We try to mix it up, a little bit of humor, a little bit of genuine stuff here. And the last time we did 99 Designs was very recently. We did it for the Threshold, Threshold cover of Sean's book, and that will be coming out next month. And I was having a very difficult time trying to get this cover right. My Photoshop skills are, good enough to do a lot of covers, but I couldn't get this one right at all. I couldn't find the right stock photos. I couldn't find, it just, everything I did sucked. So I said, well, why not let a professional handle it? So we'd used 99 Designs before for prior covers, and we've Dark Crossings cover is like the most beautiful cover ever.
Love that cover.
And they did designs for a few of Sean's Guy Incognito stuff. It just looks great.
Yeah,
So
Syllable Soup is one of my favorite covers too that we've done.
Yeah, it's beautiful.
That
And
has
that
a
was
beautiful
another thing.
William Sonoma bowl. I remember.
Yeah, and that's another thing
you.
that I initially had a
love you
concept
so much.
similar. Hey, would you please not interrupt, Sean? So yes. So I put the criteria for the cover out there on 99 Designs, created a contest, and a bunch of designers submitted their stuff. I got to look over a bunch of people, and there were probably like 6 or 7 that I really loved, and it was hard to choose from. And from there, I put them on the website, and I asked our fans to help us decide which was the best cover, and our fans got excited about it because they were part of the process in helping to pick the cover because their input was valued. And that's a great thing as a writer, to get your fans in early on the book. And we have a phenomenal cover. I can't wait to see it when it's out in the stores. But 99 Designs is great. If you can't do your own covers, and I suggest most people do not do their own covers, go to 99designs.com. They're awesome.
99designs.com/SPP is the correct URL. They're I mean, I do like that the contest feature, the idea that like it's sort of like you stand up and you say, hey, can anybody do a cover for this? And you describe it, and then a bunch of people say, here, try this, and then you can look them over and decide what it is that whether you want any of them, and if you don't, then no harm, no foul, and you move on, and that's pretty cool.
Yeah, you don't even have to pay for it. If somehow nobody can do the design well enough, then boom, you don't have to pay for it.
Yeah. All right. Well, that wasn't as good as our last read where Dave did a bad impression of a woman. Anyway,
Dave?
so that's start your custom design today at 99 Designs. You interrupted me in the middle of the URL, motherfucker. I'm going to start turning him off. Start your custom design today at 99designs.com/SPP and enjoy a free Power Pack upgrade valued at $99. A Power Pack upgrade gets you more designer time and attention, so you'll get nearly twice as many designs to help you choose. 99designs.com/SPP. All right, so you want to move on to the...
I was just trying to get over Sean interrupting, like, during the whole thing.
It's become one of our things that Sean interrupts. It's one of the things that we do. Yeah. So, what was I saying? The topic for today. Okay. So.
Oh, there's a topic.
I told you there was a topic at the outset.
I'm kidding.
Well, okay.
That's one of the other things we do.
Yes. One of our other things is deciding where to focus your creative attention. So the way the way that I would frame this in terms of why we thought of it for this show today, and then we'll go a little more broad, is that you may have heard us talk about a project that Sean has been beating in extreme detail, much like his meat, for Axis, and that's the code name for it. And I finally opened it last week, and I started looking through it, and the beats are just, I mean, when you see the video that he's going to do taking you on a tour through this, it's you'll see how the potential of this sort of thing. He's got locations and character sketches with photos and descriptions, and like a one sentence thing, and then a summary, and then a beat by beat, and I felt myself immediately understanding this world. I said that I get it. I know I know how to paint this. I know the mood of it. All this stuff was like instantly conveyed, and I got really, really excited to do it. And we had already bumped the next William Gibson book. So the
Sterling
is our,
Sterling.
Oh, William Gibson. Sorry, William Gibson is a different sci-fi writer. Sterling Gibson book. So Plugged is the current Sterling Gibson book, but he is going to do another one called Sex 2.0, which, well, I don't want to give any spoilers for Beam Season 2, but it's a good bridging sort of thing. It's about the development of the erotic industry, the sex industry after the fall in the Beam world. And so we had to bump that, and Sean was really bummed out because he thought it was a really fantastic outline, and it is. But I was like, well, we'll have more time for Axis, and we got this Kickstarter stuff, so we'll have time for that. And so I get to the point where I'm ready to start with Axis, and I had to bump it back a day because the beats were just too much. I was like, I want to sit with this. And then after taking that extra day to sit with it, I was like, wow, I want to sit with this more. Like, I had such affection for the world. I wanted to watch movies that were sort of similar in feel to it. I thought of another one, Sean. Dark City has some of these elements, I think.
Oh, yeah, Dark City's great.
And I wanted to steep in the world. I wanted to really think through the character profiles, because he would have things that should appear in the narrative that were in character docs. So I knew I was going to need to keep going back, and it just was a very layered. It's a very it's not genre sorts of stuff. It's just
it's moody as hell too,
and it's isolated. So we have one chance on this book. We aren't going to do any sequels or anything, and we decided, the short version is, we decided that we're not going to have time for that now either, and it was such a bummer.
It was painful.
It was really painful, and I really, really, really wanted to do it, and we're not going to get to it now until July. And so I thought it would be interesting to talk a little bit about how we choose our projects, or where to put your creative energy, weighing what you want to work on versus what is a good strategic move versus reader demand versus whatever.
Yeah, because all of that's really important. Dave and I have struggled with that literally from the beginning. We never quite know what to write until we're going to start writing it, because we don't know, what's going to resonate most with our audience and harmonize with what we truly want to write. And those are big decisions, because, I'm always talking about how you can write fast and tell stories fast and all of that, right? But I think that that's predicated on choosing the right things, because I think when you're writing the wrong thing, you write slow and ineffective, and it's not as good, and it's more painful because it's just you're not excited about it. And I feel like if you're really writing what you should be writing, it's going to be easier because your brain's going to be into it and your spirit is going to be into it. And so enthusiasm is always really, really important. for me. That's why like I don't do work for hire anymore, because I'm just not as excited about it. And even if I'll get paid a lot of money to write a sales letter, it's painful for me. I don't want to write a sales letter. I want to write Robot Proletariat Season 2. I want to write Axis. These are the things that I want to work on. I want more Mauricio. And so I think that as a creator, you have to find that balance, and it's not always easy to find between what your readers want, what's going to pay the bills, and what your heart wants, because that's what's going to make it fun for you.
I think when you do series work, it's doubly difficult, especially if you have a series that takes off. That's horrible when a series takes off. But for instance, Yesterday's Gone. Most of our readers found us through Yesterday's Gone. And that is the next book that they want to see, and that is the next book that we're writing. But there's also fans of other series like White Space and Available Darkness. White Space is probably second to Yesterday's Gone. Available Darkness is a third. They're waiting for the next books in those series. And, there's situations where, fans of one series might not like the other series as much. But you have to balance it where you're delivering to your fans and not making them wait too long, but you're also putting out the book that will give you the money to sustain the other books that you're writing. It's kind of like the movie business, where you have the big blockbuster that helps support all the little indie stuff that don't do nearly as well, but they have their fans and they feel good. So.
Yeah, their purpose there isn't just it does feed the core fan for sure, but it also feeds the artist, which therefore makes better work. And when you do go back to the well to follow up on, look, if we had written Yesterday's Gone season 1, 2, 3, 4, and 5 just all in a row, it would be a very different story than what's there now. I don't know that it would be better, worse, or the same.
It would be worse.
But I think time between stuff really helps with Inkwell stuff. I think that Dave's always made the argument, because I like batching work. I think doing 2 seasons back to back is great. But Dave's like, no, dude, like I need to creatively recharge and do something different so that I come back and I'm inspired. And he's 100% right, because it may be more efficient to do 2 seasons back to back, but if you're not feeling it, then it's not. If you're not feeling it, then you're doing a disservice to the art, because you're just going through the motions. And you know what? Your reader knows. Even if they only know on a very small, very subconscious level, they're not going to enjoy your story as much as they would otherwise. They're going to feel something's off about it, and that means that they're less likely to read through the series to the end or tell their friends or whatever it is that really helps you grow as an artist. Choosing your projects is very important.
I might be mistaken, but I thought, back in the day when I was reading Stephen King interviews a lot before I was even writing, I seem to recall him talking about, the Dark Tower series and hitting those at the right time, not necessarily when, the
I remember that.
want them, but when they felt right for him to write. And for me, like with our stuff, I need time away from the world to really get a handle on what worked best on the prior season, what I should improve going forward. I need that. I need that space.
And that's a really good takeaway there too, is that Dave wants that space, and for Johnny and I, we actually like to batch it. We want to work on Beam, Future of Sex, and Sterling Gibson stuff all together. When we revisit it, we may even write seasons 3 and 4 back to back, because we find that we get better results for staying in that world longer.
Because
so it's not right.
There's a reset. With every time I leave the world as complex as the Beam, when I go back to it, I have to spend a lot of time relearning the world and what has occurred in it.
I agree.
Yeah. So I think that the takeaway there is that there isn't a right answer. It's you have to know what works for you as an artist, and you have to build your kind of your work queue, what you have in your workshop at any given time. You have to harmonize with what you really, really, really want to do and what is the most logical thing to do for your business. Because again, if you're not writing as a hobby and it's your business, you do have to think about the bottom line.
And the other thing, Were you going to say something, Dave?
Yeah, Mikey Campling had a question. So if a book isn't selling well, should you write the sequel or start something new and see if that takes off?
If you only have one book, I think I would write the sequel.
Yes.
I don't think I would start another new thing.
Yeah,
unless you're
into writing
really trying to do
books.
what we did at Realm and Sands. What?
If you're into writing series books, specifically.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't give up on one book because most series don't find their feet on the first book, you know.
And I think it's the fourth or fifth that the bigger authors will tell you that it hits on. So it's not even the second.
Yeah, and in fact, specifically with the Beam, we went into it knowing that we would never do very well with the first season, and that it was just there to set the stage for future seasons. And so I think that's fine. It's just knowing. It's knowing what you're doing and why you're doing it.
And that was actually the whole sequel thing was actually part of the problem with Axis this past time, is because there's no way to make this. I mean, just trust me. Like, there's no way to make this a sequel. I wouldn't want to. It would cheapen it. Like, this is going to be a novel in the truest sense. It's going to be large. I honestly, one of the reasons was I didn't think we had enough time. I think that we originally were like, well, novel, 75,000 words, and then I said, well, I'd like to budget at least 100 just in case, or in case it goes slow. And I feel like, because we have a hard deadline when we start the Fiction Unboxed book, the actual book that we're writing, we got to stop. Like, I can't, there's no wiggle room there. I can't push that back. And so when I realized that, let's say it wants to sprawl and it wants to go to 120 or 150, I don't know. Like, I want the freedom to be able to take my time in that world and not rush through it. But I mean, I was really resisting. And the other thing too is it is a moody book, and right now, this Kickstarter is, I don't mean to sound ungrateful or anything, but it's tough. Like I don't like the way I feel day to day doing it, because it's just mentally a different space. It's taxing. It's exhausting. And so to try and do a book that's an emotional piece, I know that this book is going to break my heart when I write it. I just know it. There's some of my real triggers are in this book. The idea of things that end and that they were one way and now they're something else. Like, these are some of my triggers.
Sounds like my kind of book.
Yeah, no, you'll dig the shit out of this book. No children die, but
no children dying, but it's.
I don't want children to die, you bastards.
They just do. What can you do?
No, they don't.
And so I wanted.
Look, some people have rooms in their house, and things happen in those rooms. It's not my fault.
Okay, children, my dungeon door is going to be going like this, and if you get trapped, it's your own fault. No, I wanted. And I realized that I do kind of sound like some things that Dave has said in the past. Like, I wanted the headspace to be able to sink into this story if necessary. And I don't feel emotionally in that space right now. I feel like the fact that I am having to rush and meet a deadline would actually work as a detriment in this case, because I would be aware of it, and it would affect my willingness to go back in and say, what was that character profile where it has this photo of this person, this long thing. Sean wrote up long bios of things that will never appear in the actual textbook, but I need to know about them. And those things I want to thread throughout the narrative, and it felt like it would be doing a disservice to the book, a disservice to us as creative people, but at the same time, I argued strongly, like, I want to do it. I have no logical justification. It logically makes sense to wait, but I want to do it. Can I please do it?
First time, yeah. He actually said, "You have to make this decision. I'm not emotionally capable of making it." And I totally understood. It was hard. This was all yesterday, by the way. It was very difficult because we both really wanted to write this. We're coming off the Beam season 2, which was very hard. Like, it was just in the best possible way, but it's heavy,
a different
thick
way. In a different way. It's like technically hard. This is it's threaded. It's layered.
This is emotionally heavy too, but basically what we've had in the last long while is the Beam season 2 and Kickstarter, And those are both really hard for really different reasons. And we were really looking into digging deep into one final story thing before, whatever we write for Fiction Unboxed. And we basically had to just look one another in the eye and say, well, we're going to have to hit access later. And it's been this beautiful, when we've talked about this too before, when we get to the Fiction Unboxed project, we're going to have to rush through those beats no matter what. We're just going to have to put them together very quickly and start writing very quickly, which is great. It's part of the art. It's what we're doing. But this was the opposite of that. This was the full, it's the most recent iteration of our process, and we really wanted to explore that. And we're not going to be able to, but I think we came up with, and here's the takeaway. We came up with a solution that I think is good because, again, it harmonizes with our overall business goals. It works with our schedule, and we can feel passionate about it. Johnny, you want to talk about that at all?
What we're working on next.
Yeah.
Yeah, so we went back and forth a lot. Like, we were like, there were several projects we could slot in, and Sean kept, he didn't get, it was actually, it was a really...
Can I guess? Space Shuttle to Electric Boogaloo.
Yes!
Yes, that's right. Because it's just as layered. It was funny because it was an interesting creative moment in our partnership, and Sean kept trying to well, so would this do you want to do Robot Proletariat? I'd have to scramble, but I could probably do that if you'd like to do that more. And I was like, oh, I want to do Axis. I want to do it. Well, okay, maybe we could do that. It was like, do you want to go get ice cream to make you feel better? And and I kept saying at one point I said, no, you don't understand. Like, it's Axis or something else. Like, all that something else is not going to be as good as Axis. I want to do Axis. But once I kind of got past that, we went back to something that I think I think is really, really cool, and it's been on the back burner for a while. And there's a project
I think Dave wants to guess. No, that was just the space shuttle guess. Never mind.
That was right, exactly. That was a joke. So do you mind if I give the title?
No, not at all.
Okay, so the title, and this is another, just like the beam, this is something that Sean has known forever.
And Dave hates this title, by the way, on record.
Okay, well, I have a little bit of a thing with the title that I may want to tweak or whatever, but it's Connor Quick, and then he's got the year thing like with Z, and that's the main reason. I don't know if I want to do the year thing again, but it's
we had the year thing before Z though, but that's cool. We could take it off. I don't care.
So it's our we would like it to be our Harry Potter, but it's not fantasy. It's sci-fi, but it's in the spirit of a Harry Potter, meaning that it is a for kids book, but not in a way that talks down.
It's Harry Potter meets the Beam. It really is. There's a lot of crossover, and I actually have to in the original notes for Connor, all the future world stuff was called the Beam. The internet was called the Beam. It was all the Beam, and I've had to change that because I don't want to
cross-pollinate your worlds.
Yeah.
But the Unicorn Western is safe for kids. There aren't any. There's no swearing. It's all cowboy violence, but it's not really for kids. And both of our kids, both of our reading kids, Sean's is 12, mine is 9. It's so sweet. They want to champion Unicorn Western, but it's just getting too dense. It's just getting to the point where
they're super proud of it, but they're not tearing through it. My daughter loves the idea of Unicorn Western more than she loves Unicorn Western itself. And so Connor is something that we can legitimately give to our children because rather than being something that's appropriate for children, it's actually for them from its inception.
And it's so hard for him to look at the books on my shelf and be like, well, I can't read that yet. Can't read that yet.
Yeah,
can't read
Haley
that
too.
yet.
You can read White Space.
Right. So I'm sure that's great. Any cum shots in White Space?
No, it opens with a school shooting where the teacher kills students. So
the cum shot is later. That's in season 2.
It's the second season. Yeah, it's dude loads too. It's all Dave, by the way. At CC Bulger.
Write what you love.
So this will be really cool. And the other thing too is here's some of the reasons that we kind of decided this. Number one, we like the idea of going in and doing a kids world, but the other one is Robot Proletariat was a potential. But if you haven't read Robot Proletariat, it's philosophical in a way. There's a lot of it's a little moody. There's a lot of stuff like the beam that we kind of have to keep in mind about what it is the robots do and all this stuff. What were some of the other things that were thrown? Oh, Sex 2.0 is really, that's like beam. Like that would be hard.
It would be hard.
And
it's fake nonfiction.
Right, which is the Plugged is the slowest thing I've written, the hardest thing I've written, and it was fun, but it was slow. And what we thought about this was, number one, we have the word count for it, like it should fit, and we think it will go quickly because it's for kids, so it can have sort of a zippier pace. It doesn't need to be all thoughtful. I mean, I want it to be thoughtful, but I don't want it to be heavy. And
there's a huge difference between the two. In narrative, like your ideas, it's different. There's no way to put the beam together speedily. It's just not. It's big and heavy. And when you're trying to do nonfiction in that world, even if it's fake nonfiction, same thing. But this should be fun and fast. So I
loved Archer Caldwell's edits, his notes. I sent some of them to you, Sean. There's all right, I can reveal this, but I'm going to do it in a way that's not spoilery, but this is my favorite Archer mention. This is the favorite thing that he found. So Archer read Beam Season 2. He's our historian. He put together the Beamopedia. Like, he's got character profiles and everybody in a timeline, and he's like, he knows more about the Beam than we do. And so Archer, and he
I have no doubt that that's true.
He works in an accounting capacity, and so he works with numbers. And we had something where there was somebody would need to kill somebody else, and it was like an assassin sort of a situation, and I had attached a figure like, this death is worth essentially this much, and he's like,
I know this is
right, he goes, well, considering the sizes of this other company, you got to figure that their yearly revenue is X, and for instance, here's what Exxon spent last year on whatever, and so in order for deaths to be involved, I'm thinking that would be chump change, and you need to raise it. And I was like, that's awesome. And so those sorts of things, like, we have to keep track of all of those, and we'll have.
That was an amazing edit.
There were some others like that too, like that Year of Car wouldn't make sense. But that's the sort of thing. We'll have some of that in Connor. But just because of the way that it's going to be done in the voice, it felt like it would be more of a palate cleanser. And plus, it's a new world, and when you can go into a new world, rather than having to revisit an old one, you don't have to remember what's happened yet.
That's totally true. We can still find it. And I think, as Johnny alluded to earlier, I think that there's a lot of freedom in knowing that you have sequels coming. You don't have to tie up every loose end. You don't have to. You can explain things later. And that's fun. For Axis, that's it. When we're done and it goes to the editor, that's it. That's the book. And so that's a little harder to put on a strict timeline the same way other stuff.
And it's more difficult to let go of too, because I liked knowing, like with the Beam, if I really love a season of the Beam, if I have to kind of hurry through it, if we're on a deadline, if I don't have time to enjoy it, that's okay because I know there's more. And with this, I was just so immediately in love with what Sean had given me in terms of the outline and the beats and everything that it was like I wanted to do it justice. I wanted to really spend time in that world because I knew I'd never be going back.
Blaine Moore said +1 to anything geared toward kids. And on a related comment, John Dark says, right now, Fiction Unboxed has 666 backers. Can we cap it at that?
That would make me very, very happy. Yeah, Blaine, we're really, really excited about that. I don't think we made this clear yet, but it's actually not going to have our names on the cover. This is our first Johnny and I, our first title that's a Guy Incognito title, which will help, buoy some of that line. And there's a title.
That's going to be weird, being like, my name isn't on that book.
Dude, your name's not on any of your books, technically.
Well,
right?
yes, but I am now Johnny. Like, that's who I am. I want to get a tattoo.
You should.
A tramp stamp tattoo?
Yeah.
There's a kind of a ghost story for children Guy Incognito book that I want to write with Dave so bad. But yeah,
he'll take it.
Oh, he would do that book kick-ass too. But no, I think that one should be you. I think that one. I think you'll do it so well. It's got children in jeopardy. That's your trademark. No, you can't have that. But I'm really this book actually it predates anything that I've published so far except for Penny. The ideas for this book go back to the very, 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 very beginning of when I first started writing and was really terrible at it. So yeah.
Are you talking about Connor Quick or the other book?
Connor.
No.
Do you guys know that you know how the Pixar book is Creativity Inc.? So I think that when Collective Inkwell is big and famous, you guys should write a book and you should call it like 15 years of a history of children in jeopardy or something like that.
Not all of our books have children in jeopardy.
But what I love about this,
what one doesn't? I gotta hear this.
The last time you said that, Sean was like, you guys then tried to think of a book that didn't.
No, because there isn't one. They all have children in jeopardy.
They all have children in jeopardy. I thought they all had it like an interrogation, right?
We have a few. Somebody blacks out to end a chapter. We do that all the time. Yeah, never mind. You're right about the children in jeopardy.
No, yeah. We have some short stories.
Yeah, where there are no children at all.
Because there wasn't time. You know they're in jeopardy.
Right. No. Right. If
or
we
it starts out with, Johnny just got out from being in jeopardy. The first line.
Yeah.
Do you ever have a kid in jeopardy and then they're being interrogated?
Yes.
There's a memory wipe.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. All three. Abigail.
It's true.
We hit all the tropes, and that's where we started all of our tropes. Available Darkness, where it all began.
Fantastic. All right.
But
do we have more?
So anyway,
they're empowered through the hardship. They don't die. We hardly ever actually killed children.
Really?
Well,
okay. Well, that's good to know.
No, they're just in jeopardy, Tony. That's it. It's just jeopardy.
Okay.
That's what makes a horror or thrillers good, is people going through shit and coming out stronger. It's all about being stronger, just like the Kelly Clarkson song.
Are you disproportionately drawn to when they have the children's episodes of Jeopardy?
That's about the only time I could win at a game of Jeopardy.
Yes.
Yes.
I have a problem with the whole idea of being smarter than a fifth grader, by the way. I'd like to go on record with that. Just because you didn't study the same shit that they learned last week doesn't mean they're smarter than you, goddammit. Tired of being outwitted over here with my...
You didn't know the answers to those questions?
I don't know. I've watched that show like once.
Oh, I smell game show for Better Off Undead.
Yeah. Oh, that's
harder than a fifth grader.
We
can have Sean's daughter on.
That won't be a disaster. That won't be a disaster for me or anything. The history there.
That would be hilarious.
And
yeah,
my
me
son
versus Haley. That'd be fantastic.
To Lego.
Do we have any more to say about creative energy or whatever, or should we just
I think just wrapping it up, I think it really is important to ask yourself honest questions and not be impulsive. And I mean, believe me, I have a history of being impulsive with the things that I work on. Like I do. I very much listen to the muse. But you can't always do that. You really do have to find a balance, because it's I don't even think it's important. I think it's essential to be excited about what you work on. I think that's a bare minimum requirement. But I also think that you have to be business-minded enough to know what's going to cost you money to work on. For example, for Nevermore, I think creatively, Dave and I would very much like to continue on with that series, but it's just not low-hanging fruit. We know that if we were to write another season of For Nevermore right now, or another season of Monstrous as another example, it would be money taken directly out of our pocket that we can't afford to. So even if we really, really, really wanted to write those next, Yesterday's Gone does make more sense in that context.
And it pains me when we get email from somebody like, I thought you were going to write For Nevermore last year, and I feel horrible because we started this series and. Yeah, but the only thing I can say is we won't ever leave a series unfinished. And I'll say one other thing. Okay, we will always conclude any series we start, even if it costs us money to do so. And at least we're not George R.R. Martin. We're not taking 10 years to write.
Oh, it's not going to be terrible to be that guy.
Well, from a fan's viewpoint, they have to wait forever for the next book.
Yeah, no, we'll hit them as quickly as we can. But Dave's right. We can't at this point. We can't yet, and it does suck. We really do want to circle back, but it's a matter of getting to it when we can, and hopefully, your fans really appreciate that. But you got to think, especially this is a very easy parallel for us because we do stuff that's TV-like. But it's like a show, right? There's no guarantee that a show is going to get picked up for multiple seasons. At least what makes books different than TV is we couldn't shoot an episode of For Nevermore and then a few years later come back and shoot the second season because everybody's gone off. They have different contracts. They're on different shows, and Noella's now not 17; she's 24 and looks it. You can't do that. But in books, we can come back in a few years when we can afford to take the time to follow up for Nevermore, and that makes sense. And we're lucky that we do work in books instead of TV for that reason. But the point is, deciding where to spend your creative energy is really, really important because you only have so much. I believe that the well of ideas is bottomless. I don't think you can ever run out of ideas, but I do think you can get tired. I think you can lack inspiration. I think that you can make things more difficult than they need to be by making the wrong decisions about what to do with your time. So staying
a well of ideas, a thimble of time.
Yes, absolutely. Just handle your creative life with intention. Know what you're doing, know why you're doing it, because you will make better decisions. And take the time. One of the best things Johnny said yesterday is I have a scarcity mindset right now, and I need to stop that. And that's true. Like, don't worry about things running out. Worry about what is truly the best thing for you. What will you be most excited about, and what will your fans be most excited about? And find the project that has the best blend of those two things. And that's true for fiction writers and nonfiction writers. That's just true for writers. Write to your audience and for yourself, and that's it.
Who ultimately helped us out with that decision yesterday, because it was a really, really tough decision and really could only be handled by a godlike transcribing authority, is Caption Access. They took a break from saving children from a burning building that Dave had put in jeopardy. And they came in and they helped us out. And then they said, would you like this session transcribed? There we went. So yes, our sponsor, Caption Access at captionaccess.com. Check them out. They'll give you 30% off if you tell them that you came from SPP. So
ask them for their Children in Jeopardy package.
The Children in Jeopardy discount. I would also like to mention that next week, I wish I could do the Guess Who's Back or whatever from, You want to do that, Sean?
Guess Who's Back?
No. I don't.
Or it could be like the Welcome Back Cotter thing. The triumphant return of Ed Robertson to the podcast.
Yay! We should have children applauding in the back.
Yeah, that should be pretty fun. So Ed'll be on next week. Ed, trying to schedule around his busy promotional calendar, he was being flown somewhere like a dignitary, and we had to work around that because he's being treated like a dignitary. So that's great. And I guess that's it. Unless anybody else has anything else to say. No.
Nothing in comments, Dave.
Stay tuned for Better Off Undead.
No, Dave just made that same error that he always makes. Stay tuned for Better Off Undead.
That's a terrible idea.
If you are interested in Fiction Unboxed and haven't backed yet, please do. And take heart if you hate this, because this will be the last show where we'll be promoting it. We'll talk about it, I'm sure, a little bit, but we won't be promoting it because nobody wants us promoting shit, I guess. So, but we have made some changes to the participation, and we're doing a live event and all sorts of cool shit. So if you care, go check out Fiction Unboxed on
Free
Kickstarter.
Scrivener!
That's right. If you don't have Scrivener, $89 package and up. Now get Scrivener included from our friends at Literature and Latte. So there you go. So that's Spin the Self-Publishing Podcast. And if you're going to be in Denver at Authority Intensive and you're listening live, so basically 12 people can listen to this, Sean and I are going to be there. Because if you were there live and you're listening on the audio feed, well, tough shit, it's over. So Hopefully that isn't applying. So this has been the Self-Publishing Podcast. We'll talk to you next time. Thanks.
Peace out.